Western civilization is moving closer to a point of irreconcilable, unstable equilibrium, as frighteningly increasing numbers of people trust nothing. Media, academia, and especially the governments are no longer held in high esteem. Regaining trust is often impossible after betrayal. However, transparency is essential to any healing process, and that is the essence of the Don Sullivan Show. Please listen to the team explore, probe, and debate cutting-edge science, technology, and computing. Play ball!
Welcome to a very special episode of the Don Sullivan Show. As you can hear, Don is currently on the road, and you're going to learn more about that very shortly. I'm your co-host, Jersey Steve. First, we want to thank our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by License Fortress, the industry's first and only software asset management firm to offer both a financial and legal guarantee at its highest level of service. Whether it's Oracle, Microsoft, or VMware, License Fortress helps organizations stay compliant, avoid audits, and save money. You can learn more at licensefortress.com. And please support our producer, our wonderful producer, Bill Axt, by visiting axtinc.com. That is AXTINK.com. You can subscribe to his YouTube channel and help support his efforts to create humorous animation, as well as run our website, all while researching a cure for baldness.
Hello, folks. Welcome to today's remote and special version of the Don Sullivan Show. This is so special today because we are still going to be recording from my home state of Colorado, but my partner, Jersey Steve, has actually come out to Colorado for a special event. Say hello, Steve.
Greetings from Colorado, not New Jersey this time, guys.
Well, what we're going to be doing today is, and this, by the way, is a episode, I guess, that fits under the large umbrella of science, technology, and computing, as we always do, but specifically under the geophysics or geology heading. And we are going to go see a Sting concert. Now, you might ask how those two particular concepts actually overlap. They seem very disconnected, and it seems like it's typical of me being very silly. And of course it is. But what we're going to do is go to the amazing construction of the world's greatest music outdoor amphitheater. That is Red Rocks Amphitheater in Morrison, Colorado. Happens to only be a few miles from my house. And we are going to see the greatest musicians, the greatest rock and rollers of all time, Sting, formerly of the Police. And we are going to go through the Red Rocks Amphitheater and the museum. We'll talk about the geology. Hopefully, I will find somebody to actually talk to you all who actually knows what he's talking about. Otherwise, you'll just have to hear what I know and what I think I know about the history, as well as the geology of this amazing sandstone, Morrison sandstone. That's the dinosaurs for you kids out there. Morrison era sandstone amphitheater that was totally naturally created within the rocks in the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in Morrison, Colorado. But how they built the actual amphitheater with over 10,000 seats in it in the 30s. I forget if it was a CCC or a WPA project. We're going to go find out there because we're going to walk right in and we're going to try to find somebody to actually talk to us. And this should be pretty cool. An adventure and a lot of interest here on the Don Sullivan Show. Well, hi again, folks. Steve and I are walking up the steps into the Red Rocks Amphitheater. And we are going to walk around and look at the incredible sandstone Morrison formation that, again, just in the most amazing ways was created naturally and then built in the 30s into this amphitheater for this amazing music. And for some reason, which I certainly want to go find out, we're going to go in here and try to talk to somebody about. Every musician from the Beatles through Pavarotti through tonight, the great Sting, says it's the most amazing place that they have ever sung in regards to the acoustics. Just because of the way the sandstone has been naturally laid out. So we're going to walk into here. We're 6 or 7 hours before the actual concert, and we're going to do our best to find somebody to talk with us about a little bit more, somebody with a little bit more knowledge than I do about how all this has been built and put together. And again, this is a CCC project, a Conservation Corps. What does that stand for, Steve? Do you remember? The CCC, Conservation Corps. I'll look that up later. But there's one WPA and the CCC with the two work projects or work programs in the 30s to get mostly young men to work during the Depression. And whether or not it had any real economic positive impact or not is sort of irrelevant to what we're looking at right now, in that they built in the 30s. Yeah, it's built in the 30s, and it was in... they've left an enormous legacy in regards to trails all around the United States, and obviously the Hoover Dam was a completely separate project, but along the same lines. But as I said, trails all along the United States, from the Appalachian Trail to the Colorado Trail to the trails through the Grand Canyon, which we'll be doing a Don Sullivan show from in a few weeks, as well as magnificent structures, amphitheaters such as here at Red Rock. So let's walk around and try to find somebody to talk about the acoustics, the history, and just the overall geology of the Morrison Formation, which is late Jurassic, by the way. So again, for you kids out there, it's where lots and lots of Jurassic Allosaurus and other types of dinosaur bones are found. I think a really important point to make as we kind of go through the crowds, the museum here is closed for construction underneath the amphitheater, is that people have been singing, and it's likely that native peoples from hundreds of years ago also recognized the amazing acoustics. But we're standing in front of a mural from people having a concert well before the amphitheater structure itself was built in August of 1910. So again, they had piano, right? They had a lot of different performances here, and then again in the 30s, the CCC built the overall amphitheater itself, all the stands, the stage, and everything else. And this picture that we're looking at, people are really just standing on a wooden bench in front of the rocks themselves, but that didn't change the fact that the acoustics are utterly amazing. It's, I guess, important to note here along the lines of this sort of random discussion that we're having, the actual first official concert were in 1906 in the open air Garden of the Titans, as they called it. But again, that was well before, it was 30 years before the actual construction of the amphitheater itself. Pretty amazing overall. I wish the museum was open, and one of the things that's in the museum and absolutely worth coming here on its own for is to just look at the history of the performers that have been here. Like I said, everything from the Beatles to Springsteen to Pavarotti and many, many other types of stuff. They even run movies in here on occasion. One of the
based on an amphitheater in Sicily.
Yeah, so Steve's got a point here. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I didn't realize this was based on an amphitheater in Sicily. The builders took inspiration from one over there and kind of ancient Greek amphitheaters.
Yeah, this is a pretty common concept in all of human history, the idea of the outdoor amphitheaters, but more often than not, Steve, in regards to theatrical performances, thespians, so to speak, the particular acoustics of this location are generally thought of as not replicatable or not comparable to any place else in the world. So we are privileged and lucky enough to have found ourselves an employee, a true expert, a longtime expert of the Red Rocks Amphitheater, Kate. Say hello, Kate.
Hello.
So, Kate, how long have you worked here at Red Rocks?
About 6 years. It's my retirement job.
6 years, and that's amazing. I've lived here for 30 plus years in Colorado, very close, and been here a dozen times or so, and it's pretty amazing. I've never seen somebody quite as prominent as Sting. But I'd love to ask you just a few questions. Is that all right?
Sure.
So, from a historical perspective, and Steve will be back in a minute just to ask you some more. From a historical perspective, when this was constructed by the CCC, what was the real impetus behind it?
They used to come for concerts all the time up here. People would
general
travel
populace,
from Denver,
yeah.
sit on the hillside, because this used to be the Native Americans' spiritual prayer area. They would stand in the middle of...
So they knew how to sing here, too.
Right, exactly. They were the first singers here. And then so they were giving concerts back in the early 1900s. There's a picture at the end of the hall from 1910. And then the CCC...
I was just talking about that, yeah.
And then when the city and county of Denver bought it from the Walker family, they and decided
So
to
it was
put
private
seating.
land before that.
It was.
Yeah, okay.
And then it was owned by the Walker family. And then, so they started building the seating in like probably 1939. And then we opened officially as a concert venue on June 15th of 1941.
Who was the first performer then? You know?
Gee, I do not know.
Oh, because we've got a
that.
museum in there, which is closed today, unfortunately,
Yes.
with might as well be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
But Rock and Roll Hall of Fame plus Pavarotti and every other major performer in
The Beatles.
the history of
the
Western
Beatles-
civilization. Yeah,
The
other than the
Beatles were
Stones.
here in '64.
Yes.
They did not sell out because they had just come to America. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
They did not sell out. That's really interesting because they certainly did sell out everywhere else with
Correct.
multiples sell out. But I guess it was just sort of unknown in that sense.
Maybe less
So
established.
when the CCC was at its height, building trails all over the country and other venues and such, I would say that this is probably, from a historical perspective, the real signature accomplishment of the CCC. Would you agree
Definitely.
with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could give FDR lots of credits to that. But it was, as you just described, well known that the acoustics in this unbelievable natural formation were absolutely perfect for all kinds of wonderful sounds, particularly singing. The natives knew about it, and the people before the actual construction of the amphitheater knew about it. How often were concerts given here, just sort of randomly, once the property was owned by the Walkers?
So normally the season started on Easter Sunday with a sunrise service.
If it wasn't raining. Yeah.
No,
Even when it was
even if
raining,
it's
huh?
raining, rain, sleet, snow. So that's usually when our season started, and then at the end would be Labor Day area. But now we actually have had concerts before Easter sunrise service, and we go all the way to November. And then there usually is one concert in either late January or February called Icelandic, that they do a concert.
Have you ever been snowed out where like it's just not going to happen?
There have I think it
We had
was
the hailstorm
last
2 years ago,
Yeah, we
right?
had that hailstorm. But after the hailstorm, if people still wanted to stay, they did perform. It was just
They
delayed.
did perform after the hail
Yeah.
ended, huh?
So
Show must go on.
they'll delay if they can, and then if it's just not going to let
So
up.
we're having Sting tonight no matter what.
Correct.
All right, yeah.
Well, the forecast looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it certainly does. And I wonder how often and what was the schedule like before the actual physical infrastructure of the amphitheater was built?
I am not sure about that.
Well, because I guess people just sat on the rocks like they do. I've climbed Mount Morrison up here a number of times, and there are locations up here where you can actually sit and listen to the music. It's not as loud as obviously, but people by the hundreds go up the top of the mountain and just listen to it. I imagine it was a very similar experience, just closer.
Right.
Until they actually built the actual stands. About 10,000 plus.
If it's reserved seating, it's 9,525. If it's GA, they'll sell a little more because people are going to be standing and stuff like that. But if it's seated, like Sting has reserved seating.
Yes,
So the artist,
we have tickets to the reserve.
The artist decides how they want
the layout to go.
Layout. So it could be reserved and then GA, or it could be all reserved or all GA.
So Steve has an interesting question about acoustics you might be able to answer.
Sure. Does elevation affect acoustics?
Well, so we're up here at 5,500 feet.
6,400.
Oh, well, we're even higher. That's right. We're way up. We're at 6,400 feet.
As a New Jersey resident, I'm feeling it.
That's a little bit higher than High Point there, Steve. So we're at 6,400 feet. Obviously the rocks make an incredible sound, and the music of Sting in here is going to be unreal. But do you think that it's affected in one way or another just by the thinness of the air as well?
I don't think so. I grew up at almost 10,000 feet, and we had concerts up there all the time. We'd have opera singers come into Leadville also and do concerts. The biggest thing was just, like you say, because you're a lowlander, it's hard to breathe. So they would have oxygens for people that go higher to sing.
So even Springsteen running around here, as he normally does, with his great level of fitness, he probably needed oxygen in here.
Do they sometimes do oxygen here as well?
They will put it in the backstage if they.
Yeah, if somebody gets winded running around the stage.
Yeah, somebody like Springsteen or some of the other more animated performers. Certainly when Bono was here, I think that given the amount of movement that occurs with them. So what about, we know that the most, other than again the Rolling Stones, the most prominent artists of the last 100 years have been here. The Beatles, the Springsteen, and the opera singers Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, I think was here as well. Jimmy Buffett is here. So we had Margaritaville here as well. Anything else that really sticks out to you that's particularly interesting, or any quotes? Well, I know some of the quotes inside of the museum of how amazed some of these artists are at the acoustics themselves, and how it is the greatest experience that they ever had in regards to actually putting on a performance. Do you know anything? Do you remember anything that sticks out in your mind?
I don't ever get to talk to the performers.
You don't get to talk to them. They talk to you when they're. They talk to you when they're on stage.
Well, I know, but let's see. I guess my most memorable concert was John Denver. I got to drive down from the mountains.
A real Rocky Mountain High there.
A concert. Cool. So he's performed here 17 times.
17,
wow. 17 times.
And then the Grateful Dead also performed a lot here.
Wow, it's interesting. I imagine they needed oxygen.
Yeah, Jimmy Garcia was well known, and now they even have concerts that are some of the performers that performed with Garcia still come.
Yeah, the Eagles were here.
Eagles were here.
Yeah, so again, everybody but the Stones. Nick, what's wrong with you? You've been to every other venue on the planet, and somehow you avoided Red Rocks. I don't get that, Nick. And Nick,
the kind of the Rolling Stones, it kind of works.
Yes, it does. It works perfectly here.
But they can sell out stadiums.
They can sell out continuously. Tens of thousands of venues.
80,000 seats.
A million at Gimme Shelter concert, right? They were at 1 million there. But I digress. Anything else that you can add to the vast audience of the Don Sullivan Show that they'll find interesting and hopefully come themselves to this incredibly underrated location for music?
There is not a bad seat in the, as we call it, the bowl. Every seat, no matter where you sit, it's a great sound. Me, personally, I like to sit higher so I can watch the city lights.
Yeah, so you tell us now that we've got seats down below. I can't
remember where we are. No, I think we're fairly high.
I bought these tickets from a cruise ship in October in the Caribbean. They just happened to show up there. But okay, I'll remember that for next time.
Yeah.
That's so who else is coming here of tremendous note next this year?
Well, James Taylor is coming again.
Nice.
I don't remember. We have like 300 shows because we have a show every night now. We're in
A
season.
lot of times they're moving,
Even Sundays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Every day of the week. Wow.
Every day of the week.
Yeah, and I will also go back to correct my flippant point. Easter Sunday Mass here is an incredible experience overall. The people literally wait from the night before, no matter what the weather is in early April, which can be very interesting in the high 6,400 feet Denver metro area. You're getting up into the mountains here. If you look on the website of the Don Sullivan Show, I actually climbed up Mount Morrison and took a few pictures down here a few days ago.
Nice.
Just to show again you and the vast audience of it. So, Kate, anything else you got to add here that tell us other than that this is going to be an incredible show tonight with one of the world's great performers?
Right, I believe it will be. I don't get to come.
You don't get to come. Oh well. Have you been here? I mean, what show is it? What's your favorite show here? I'll ask you this to end our little interview.
Well, I love Joe Bonamassa. I've seen him twice. I've seen John Denver here. I was supposed to see Hart, but they had to cancel due to health
Hart would
problems.
have been a cool show.
I have seen the Zach Brown Band, Old Dominion, but I have to buy tickets just like everybody else. So.
Well, you can probably hear a lot here. Thank you for talking to us from the gift shop. And I'll ask you, when is the museum going to be open?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a lot of what's going on in Denver right now. Hoping June. Oh, this year at least, okay?
Yes.
Not quite Chicago types of construction where we're looking at a decade from now. But, okay, that's good. Well, Kate, thank you so much. And to take your time away from the people who are lining up now to ask you other questions. I'll let you get back there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And we'll
Have
talk
a
to
good
you
one.
soon. And
All
good luck.
right,
Bye-bye. So, folks, after that incredible interview with Kate, who was gracious enough to talk to us about, well, her experience here at the amazing Red Rocks Amphitheater, we're going to go outside, and we're 6 or 7 hours before the concert, and we'll sort of end the show with some live sound from the concert. But we're going to go out and try to find some staff to talk to outside of the museum. And again, I really encourage everybody, and this is the case for every place the Don Sullivan Show goes to come to these places and to look around. And again, we'll share some pictures with you on the website all through the night, just to give you a flavor of what this all looks like and how it appears and what it sounds like. It's an absolutely incredible place here in the southwest part of the Denver metro area. Things I'll also tell you is that it is actually cold up here, especially when it rains or hails. As we mentioned before, there was this terrible hailstorm 2 years ago during a concert. A few people got hurt because there's no place for the water to go or the hail to go. It just rushes right down the hill towards the stage. And in that case, as Kate mentioned, the actual concert started up again after about an hour or so. And so we're looking at potentially some storms tonight, but that is not going to stop the festivities at all. Well, folks, we're back again here. Ma'am, what's your name? Dawn, I think.
Dawn.
Dawn, so are you with Red Rocks or are you with Sting?
I am with Red Rocks.
So is this the most prominent concert or prominent performer you've had in a while here?
I would say so.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Sting music is going to be incredible inside these rocks, isn't it?
It's going to be beautiful. What a great night. And the sound, they did a little short sound check there, setting up just tuning the equipment. And everything sounded awesome.
So your event staff were you here by chance during the hailstorm 2 years ago?
I was here on the 4th of July one with Blues Traveler.
Oh, yeah.
Not the younger one.
How long have you worked?
About 11 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was it like when that happened?
It wasn't
other than
good.
the chaos.
I wasn't here for the original one, but I was here for the Blues Traveler one. And I forget who the opening acts were, but there was quite the delay. And
only a delay, though, which is incredibly impressive.
Quite the delay. Yeah, by the time Blues Traveler came on, I was long gone.
Did people have to take shelter? Or?
They did. Well, they suggested. We can't make you take shelter.
Well, where do you take shelter around here? There really isn't.
Up at the visitor center.
So people should have gone up rather than coming down.
Back in your car. So if there's a lightning delay, you should go back to your car. and safety first, but you can't,
You
convince
can't force
people.
They're
Yeah.
here to have a good time.
So some people move further up for.
Plus, they're not always in their best physical state sometimes
No.
as well.
Some listen better than others.
There you go. There you go.
But those concerts continued
The
afterwards.
concert must go on.
The
What's the
concert must
craziest
go on.
concert you've had here?
Yeah, what's the craziest?
I don't know if I was here. I may have seen lots of bands. I do remember a Lionel Richie show that I wasn't at, but I live nearby, and that didn't come on till 11 o'clock because of lightning delays.
Holy
yeah,
cow.
but then I heard
But
it was awesome.
Yeah, I bet it was. I bet it was.
Yeah, I think it was around 11 o'clock.
We were at a concert last year in which, what's the name of it?
Crumbin.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it was kind of interesting.
They're
We'd never
coming
heard of it before. They're coming back.
We gotta get
People
tickets.
were highly glazed. For the most part, we had to walk through to get out, and people were in a different state of mind. We'll put it that
I
way.
heard that was a good show.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you need to come back. Are you going to tonight's show?
We have
Absolutely.
tickets up top, and Steve is in. Jersey Steve here, my partner. Don Sullivan with Don Sullivan Show. And we have tickets up top, and Steve has flown in just for this production of the Don Sullivan Show, as well as, of course, this
Perfect
amazing
venue,
concert from this
perfect
historic
day.
performer.
Perfect day. It's going to be beautiful.
Okay, thank
Enjoy
you so
the show
much. Thank you
tonight.
so much, Don.
Appreciate it, Don.
So we have a concert going here tonight. Isaac, what do you think about this? Where are you from, Isaac?
I'm from Eritrea, Africa.
You're from Africa. Where?
Eritrea.
Eritrea. So above Ethiopia.
Yes.
Above Ethiopia, and you're here all the way from Eritrea to come see Sting at the beautiful Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You're here from Colorado. You're out to Colorado
This is
for
my
other
first
things.
time.
This is your first time in Colorado. Oh, well, I've been in Ethiopia myself. I spent a lot of time in Ethiopia. I managed the program for Silicon Valley called Virtualize Africa, and spent at Gondor and a couple of weeks there. A wonderful place overall. I also used to be a distance runner, so like many generations ago, or many lifetimes ago. So I knew some Ethiopian runners. So what do you think is it like here as compared to Ethiopia? It's dry, but it's you've got some altitude. But one of the things I noticed in Ethiopia was that it was arable. You could grow crops up at 13,000 feet. You get above 10,000 feet here, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what? Every place has its own beauty.
Of course,
With,
yes.
It is different seasons. There are different beauties all over the world. So when I came here, there is another different beauty, which is man-made beauty.
Well,
With-
yeah, obviously.
with the natural surrounding.
Isn't that
here.
incredible? Yeah.
That's very incredible.
Yeah.
I was wondering how they make it, how they come with this idea. This is with rocks here. And
Both sides, yeah. So if you
and,
go into the museum up here, if you go all the way up, most of the museum is closed at the moment, but you'll see some of the history that Native Americans used to sing here, and from a spiritual perspective, and even 20, 30 years before the actual amphitheater was built in the 30s, they had just sort of concerts that were owned by a particular, run by the family that owned the land, and then the CCC in the time frame of FDR, they built it all. And it's the same. It's almost 100 years old. It's pretty incredible that they would have built
Very
something
incredible.
like this.
Very
And again, every other than we keep making fun of this, but other than the Rolling Stones, every major figure in music, not just rock and roll, has been here.
I'm waiting to listen some from the music.
The sound checks are going to occur. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
The sound checks occur all during the
Then
day.
I will have
yeah.
my suggestion for it.
are you a musician yourself of any kind?
Actually, I used to be.
So you have a
What do you
critical eye towards this. What do you play?
Saxophone.
Oh, that's a great instrument.
Yeah.
So when Springsteen comes back, and if he doesn't have Clarence Clements' son anymore, maybe
We'll get you on stage.
well, thank you, Isaac, for contributing to the Don Sullivan Show, and we very much wish you a good time here in the United States, however long you spend, specifically in Colorado, and I hope you have an incredible experience. One of the things that I'll mention after our discussion with Isaac, that's actually pretty incredible, that this amphitheater is built into what is effectively a massive hole in the sandstone Morrison Foundation rock. And despite the rather dramatic events that have occurred in here, lightning and the floods and the massive hailstorm, 2 years ago in particular, there's plenty of YouTube videos that are scary and dramatic out there, that there have been very, very few significant incidents, major injuries of any kind. And I think that is a testimony to how well it's managed, how iconic this place is, how important it is to the whole Denver metro area. And it's overall a place of art and, just to be a little bit silly, just good feelings and so on. Steve and I are still walking around here looking to get comments from various different people who are here a lot more than we are. In particular, the security guards, even the event staff, as we just talked to, as well as, we'll probably get some comments from some actual participants other than Isaac. So pretty cool stuff. So we have Izzy here, who is event staff as well, and I would love to ask, Izzy, were you here during some of the events of the last couple of years that were a little more dramatic? Or were you just talking about them? I was just commenting on them. Or were you here during them?
There wasn't any crazy shows I was a part of. Like,
well, I mean the hail incidents and so on.
No hail for me. I thankfully, God, that was rough for the people that were working there. I generally work in the morning, so it's a lot more calm and chill.
Well, what do you do, given that you're at one of the entrance-exits areas from the perspective of safety? Because it just astounds me that over 100 years, there really hasn't been that many major events that involved injuries, despite the fact that, again, as I was just mentioning to the audience, this is a mountain. It's a hole in a mountain of sandstone, and all kinds of things can happen, including rocks falling off.
Yeah, they check for rocks falls like every year in the spring and the fall. So if you go up the south rim and look at the rocks that look like kind of precarious, they're all bolted down. The hail incident, it hails in Colorado sometimes. Generally, if it's bad, we pull people into here, into the restroom.
So down into the restroom area.
We'll pull people backstage if it's actually bad hailing, but to get people out of the way.
And given where you're positioned here, you seem to be someone who is probably has some responsibility for trying to direct people if something happens.
Sometimes. Well, it's not the what do you call it? The what is it? You don't generally have to direct people because they know where to go. If it's everyone's going back to their cars, they know where to go, and it's
certainly know when they're going to leaving. But
yeah.
I just obviously there's plenty of YouTube videos out there. I don't know how people had time to take YouTube videos while they were being hit in the head by 100-mile-an-hour golf ball size hail, but they did apparently.
Yeah, they shows here. Not this year. Last year I went to a couple, but now that I work here, it's all right. I want to go home and come back for the night. But up at the visitor center, we can fit a good 3,000 people. If everyone's packed in there, we can fit
that's a
couple
decent
thousand people.
So you can
there.
direct people from about halfway up to go up as far as the other people go down if you need to.
Basically run to their car if it's hail or lightning, because it's just we're not open. And if we know that there's going to be lightning, generally they call it. But it has to be within a certain radius of it.
Do you ever get to meet the acts or see them?
No,
they're cordoned off, kind of.
Yeah, well, they're cordoned off, but you don't know who they are.
Yeah,
tonight.
I mean, because I googled him today. I don't know who Sting was.
You don't know who Sting was. Well, what's your favorite concert ever
that I saw here? I saw it on White Night a couple years ago. It was a really fun show.
Because as we've pointed out a number of times during this particular episode, everybody in the music world over the last 100 years, other than the Rolling Stones, have been here. Again, message out to Mick. It's about time. You're 82. You can still run around like crazy. Get over here to Red Rocks, because it's apparently, from what everybody says, who's ever performed on here, is the best acoustics and the best experience they've ever had.
Yeah. So, it sounds great here, but if it gets too windy, the rows, like if you're row 40 and up, the sound gets blown away. By
A little bit.
Like literally, it'll get quiet up there, and you can hear like the buffeting of the sound. So, but like the best venue for sound in Denver is Mission Ballroom. Like I know some
you think
people,
so?
some people will,
I
you know,
love
that's a hot take, but we thought so they don't, you know,
They have
they
more
just
control over the elements.
Yeah, they have control. But
Yeah.
this place is great. And
What's your
anyone can
favorite
rent
thing
it.
about working here?
Yeah, it's just a nice place.
Get to
Everyone's
be
really super
outdoors.
nice.
It's
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
It's cool.
There's a lot of people here right now, and obviously it's open during the day for people to work out. It's a very big Denver thing to do, to run up and down the stairs. But is this more than normal? No, it's pretty normal.
I stay here. This is about how many people we have.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks a lot, Izzy, for answering some questions for the Don Sullivan Show. And I'll let you get back to work. Thank you. So, okay, folks, we're back, and the concert is about to begin. Interestingly enough, Sting does not have an opening band, it seems like, and they're going to start off rocking and rolling for 2.5 hours, and this place is packed.
The corn
With
dogs
10,000
were
people.
wonderful. Sorry,
Stephen had a corn dog, and our previous guest will be appalled by that. And more, and I had one as well, I have to admit, and they'll be very appalled by it. But this is going to be an amazing, amazing concert in an amazing venue that is simply like nothing else on earth. And I'm going to sneak a couple of snippets in of various different songs, which I know you're not supposed to do, and it's kind of juvenile and silly, but that's what we do here on the Don Sullivan Show. We have lots of fun in all kinds of different ways. So just get ready, and I'm going to pause here, and we'll be back when we hear the Sting music reverberating off of these amazing red rocks. Well, folks, I promised you that we would have some snippet and some commentary from the middle of the concert in this unbelievable location with the sound of Sting reverberating through these rocks is like nothing you'd ever heard. Nothing on this planet. So I just had to do this for a second. I hope this is actually intelligible because I'm mesmerized at the sounds and the sights, but mostly the acoustics in this incredible geologic wonder that's mixed with the amazing engineering and the work of the CCC in the 1930s. So I'm just going to have a few comments in here. I will after the concert about Red Rocks, but I promised you that we would have a couple of comments during the time of the concert, and I will. And if you look on the website, there'll be plenty of pictures of this concert and of Red Rocks itself.